My name is Michael Thomas Cuthbertson II, son of Mike and Tansy Cuthbertson. I was born on September 14th, 1999 in Plano, Texas. I was kind of born between generations. Depending on the website you go to or the person you talk to, I could be a millennial or a Zoomer, a Gen Z. I definitely identify more with a millennial than I do a Zoomer. Yeah, I feel more like a 90s kid in terms of my childhood than I did a Zoomer with the advent of cell phones and iPads and all this social media. I didn't really have any of that when I was growing up. I got my first iPod when I was like 14, 12, something like that. I grew up on a ranch in Texas, so while someone else exactly my age may have been more Zoomer, because I was in that slightly more isolated environment, I definitely grew up more millennial than I did Zoomer. Because I grew up on a ranch in North Texas, just going off the statistics and my actual experience, I grew up Christian and very, very conservative. With lots of guns and hunting, fishing, all the fun stuff. I would describe myself as kind of a weirdo, an oddball, odd man out. My brother gives me the whole "we're not with him" whenever I do something even mildly weird. I'm kind of an info dump. If you start talking to me about World War II history, I will talk your ear off until the sun comes up if you let me. I'm not very good at this question, but others would probably describe me as a bit weird, odd, just a little off. I don't really know. Maybe I'm selling myself short on this question, but I don't really know. It's really kind of more of a question for others than it is for me on what others think of me. Because that's not just something you normally ask somebody, like, hey, what do you think of me? And then they give you an actual honest answer. So go ask everyone else, I guess, even though I'm probably dead if you're watching this. I'm currently in the new parents and somewhat newlyweds. Got married coming up on 3 years ago now. Got married in May of 2023. Had our first kid in May of 2024 and our second kid in July of 2025. Michael III and Eliza Grace, respectively. At the time of recording this, Michael III is about to turn 2 here in just a couple months, and Eliza is just a couple months after that, and when she turns 1. And yeah, it's been a bit of a dumpster fire. Money isn't exactly crazy tight or anything. We're not just throwing cash around willy-nilly or anything, but money isn't loose, but it's not tight. We're doing okay. Just bought our first minivan and hopefully our last minivan. Had to take my Pride out, tie it to a tree, and put it down like a dog. But yeah, we got a minivan. It works. Jessalyn, my wife, doesn't like this, but I call it the SS Panty Dropper. She's not a huge fan of the name, but her not liking it just makes me like it even more. My wife, Jessalyn, and I bought our first house a couple of years ago, May 31st of 2024, just a couple weeks after our first child, Michael III, was born. It is roughly 2,000 square feet, and we got it for $305,000. So whatever year you're watching this in, compare that, and I'm sure prices have skyrocketed even more than they are now. I am currently full-time with my engraving company, Frogpot Engravings. I engrave custom swords, custom Bibles, wrenches, daggers, all kinds of stuff, mostly those 4. Spend most of my time doing that. That's how we make our money. Before that, I was a facilities engineer and project engineer for Texas Instruments here in Sherman. Handled everything from the construction of the new factory here in Sherman, SM1, which I'm sure is still here anytime after you watching this. I was on that for the first half or so of my tenure at TI, and then the second half I had a seizure on site, so I wasn't allowed on the construction site anymore, so they moved me to work as a facilities engineer at the older factory, which was also in Sherman. It was a 150 millimeter fab versus a 300 millimeter, just the size of the wafers they make, and not the vanilla wafers, but semiconductor silicon wafers. I was lead exhaust engineer for the 150 millimeter factory in Sherman. I also handled airborne molecular contaminants. I handled the scrubber yard, all of the exhaust stuff, everything from just the day-to-day maintenance, emergencies, hazmat cleanups when leaks happened. I also handled the vacuum pumps and all of the heat exchangers and stuff like that coming off of those. I magically became in charge of air systems one day because the boss of my boss decided I was. That actually led to the second seizure on site and how I ended up leaving TI. After a few months of deliberation, HR decided they could no longer take the liability, and I was given 30 days unpaid leave to find a new job within the company or leave. And God told us to go full-time with the engraving company, which I'd started a few years prior, so we did that. And it's been going great. Here we are. We've had our ups and downs, but we're here. My wife, my kids, my family. Everything I do is to give my wife and my kids a better life. Every day, every hour, every minute, I do to try and give them a better future. I do my best to hear God and to actually do what I hear Him say. Some days I hear Him better than others. Some days I listen and some days I don't. I'm not perfect. Maybe they have perfect people in the time that you're watching this, but in my time we do not have perfect people. I do my best to hear God and do what He says in order to be a better husband and dad for my family. I wake up on at least weekdays. I wake up about 9 a.m., sometimes a little earlier depending on whether or not the kids start screaming. Yeah, I wake up about 9 a.m. on weekdays, and that's when we do the handoff between me and my wife. My wife, she starts work at 5 a.m. and she takes a 30-minute break at 8:30 a.m. She wakes up the kids, gets them changed, gets them breakfast. Then at 9 a.m. hands them off to me. I take them until 1:30 p.m. when she gets off work, and then she takes them for the rest of the day from 1:30 to 4:30. From 1:30 to 4:30 roughly is when I'll do a lot of engraving work and usually packing up engravings from the night before and getting them ready to ship, getting them loaded into the van. Then at around 4:30 I get in the van and drive to the post office in Sherman because the one that's 5 minutes down the road closes at 4, and that's just too early. So we go to the one that closes at 5, and honestly now I have an emotional attachment to that post office and the employees there. Make the drive there, about 15 minutes there, 15 back. Drop off all the swords and daggers and Bibles and whatnot. Drive home, get dinner going around somewhere between 5 and 6. Then after dinner, just kind of chill with wife and kids for about an hour until 7 p.m. At 7, we put Michael to bed. Eliza is still, she's 7 months old, so she just kind of goes to bed anytime, every time. She's not much in terms of schedule. After we get Michael to bed, we go water the plants upstairs. We have a whole indoor garden in Jesselyn's office. We have we have 3 12-foot shelves on the wall and a bunch of grow lights, and we grow all peppers and herbs, all kinds of stuff. Nasty stuff like lettuce. I don't know about you, but me, my dad, my brother, my cousin, us Cuthbertsons can smell lettuce. So I don't know about you future generations, but at least up to my generation and my cousin, because she's technically a Zoomer, we can all smell lettuce. So hopefully you future generations can as well. After we get Michael to bed, me and my wife Jesselyn hang out for about an hour until 8 p.m. when she goes to bed. And she goes to bed early because she gets up around 4-ish, and so she has an hour to herself before she starts work at 5. And then once she's in bed, I then go into the garage, which is where I'm filming now, which has been converted into the laser workshop. And then I'll go do engravings for usually 2 to 4 hours, depending on how many I have to do. I'll also just kind of hang out, have some me time, chill in here, maybe eat a bowl or 4 of cereal, mini wheats, Rice Krispies, sugar, and milk, and my special spoon and bowl. So yeah, it's not all work in the garage, but a lot of it is. Once I've decided that I'm done working and ready to go to bed, I go into the kitchen, get the kitchen all cleaned up because Michael loves to throw food all over the place. So get that all swept up and put away. I get the dishes loaded into the dishwasher, start the dishwasher, usually wipe down a little bit, pick up the living room some, take pills. I'm on anti-seizure medication. That's a whole other story. And once all the cleanup is done, I then go into the bedroom, turn on the sun, as Jesslyn calls it. I turn my phone flashlight on at the lowest intensity so I don't trip and die. Get in bed, look at memes, and read the Bible for about an hour before going to sleep, and then go to sleep anywhere from 1 to 3 a.m. and then get up at 8:55, 9, do it all again the next day. Also, before I go to bed, after I get everything picked up, I'll make a fresh bottle for Eliza and get her diaper changed, and then sometimes pee in the rose bushes out front. Not exactly worried per se, but money is definitely a big stress, especially as the provider for the family. But I'm pretty good about just giving it to God and letting Him take care of it. He has come through so many different ways and so many different times that I'm getting pretty good at just trusting Him with it and any other problem we have. So not a lot of honest worries. The kids are definitely a big stressor. Michael is going through a shrieking phase, just screaming like a banshee, basically every second of every day, for if he gets excited, if he gets mad, glad, sad, if he hurts himself, if he wants to just run around, he just shrieks and shrieks and shrieks and shrieks like a pterodactyl banshee. Just, God. And I've measured his scream at 117 decibels. I have a slight bit of tinnitus from it, actually. When I lay down at night, I can actually hear a slight ringing in my ears. Yeah, a police siren is about 120 decibels. So he's right up there with a police siren on volume. I am so grateful for my wife, Jesslyn. She is so amazing. We have amazing kids, as stressful as they can be. They are amazing, good kids. I'm so grateful for my family, my extended family. Grateful to have a house to sleep in, a roof over our heads, food in our bellies. I'm grateful for the career position I'm in, where I can work when I want and work from home, not have to drive at least an hour, commute to work, and then work 10 to 12 hours every day, 5-6 days a week, be on call. That I can just spend so much time with my family, and I'm very grateful for that. There's honestly so much more that I can't even list it. Those are the big ones. I'm a husband, a father, a businessman, above all else a Christian. A man of God. I'm coming up on 27 years old, so I'm still fairly young. This is honestly just kind of a test to see how exactly to format these as I get these recorded for my parents, my grandparents, and other family members. So I figured it'd be easiest to test it with me. I'm 27, I got a long life ahead of me. A lot feels unfinished. Basically everything. I mean, I got married, I finished my degrees, I got Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and one in Aerospace Engineering. Almost got another degree in Applied Physics, but Jesslyn decided it'd be better to plan our wedding than to get a third degree. Almost had a minor in physics as well. Got 85% of an applied physics degree. I just recently became a husband May of 2023. Became a father in May of 2024. And even more recently had Eliza in July of 2025. Became a homeowner recently, so all these big steps just happening fairly recently. So a lot of that is very unfinished. And a lot of business ideas and dreams still left to pursue and accomplish. Haven't even begun my calling to the Middle East as a missionary. A lot of places I still want to go, a lot of things I still want to do, a lot of things I want to learn. Still learning piano, been learning that since August 2020. I'm decent at it now, but I've kind of plateaued. Might have another kid or two, who knows? We're still young. Right now we're wanting to just keep it at 2, but we're not confident enough to get a vasectomy, so a third may happen, may not, who knows. Not a lot feels finished, but I do feel like this whole journey with epilepsy is finally coming to a close. It has been a very long and painful journey, and I feel like it's finally coming to a close. But that's a whole other story that I have in a whole separate video or maybe set of videos.